نعم. لا لا لا، هذه حق النات. زين، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رحب فيكم جماعة، وإن شاء الله تكون محاضرة اليوم ممتعة. راح نكمل إن شاء الله موضوع quality assurance. So we are going to continue with the quality assurance aspects إن شاء الله. So what do we have here? I think so all of you can have you can see the presentation. Okay. So we already passed through the history of quality and the 3 gurus of quality and these 3 guys as well. And then we want just to finish our final 3 popular. There are many actually, and we are just trying to cover some names here and there. So who do we have here? We have a popular name in quality who's Ishikawa. Okay, Ishikawa. Ishikawa is very popular for the fishbone diagram. There is something called the fishbone diagram, and this fishbone diagram. Let me see my pen. Okay, so the fishbone diagram is something to do with another name for it is the cause and effect diagram, and I'll just write that here. Okay, I got my pen. So the cause and effect diagram, or sometimes called the fishbone diagram, and the reason of that he states a problem and then tries to find the reasons behind that problem, and he's the one that came up with the 4 M's. So he says maybe there's a problem with the machine, maybe there's a problem with the man, maybe there's a problem with the material, maybe there's a problem with the method. Okay, so the one who came up with this with these ideas was was Ishikawa, and they call it the Ishikawa diagrams, and then they call it the cause effect diagram. Because it is cause and effect diagram, but who came up with the idea? He came up with the idea. There are some other things that he came up with, which are quality circles, customership within the organization. These are other smaller ideas which are already repeated by other people. So it's difficult to say that he came up with the idea of the quality circles. Like we have the quality circle, the PDCA cycle of Deming. So he came up with another circle very similar to Deming, but now we cannot call it Ishikawa circle. خلاص يعني there's a one who already and came up with the idea within a certain methodology. And there are other cycles, and other than PDCA, cycle, there is something called the ADAR or radar. Sometimes it's called ADAR or radar cycle. There are also other cycles, but don't worry about what cycle it is. It is the same idea exactly. It is the concept of PDCA. So that is Ishikawa, very popular for cause and effect diagram. Will we study later cause and effect diagram? Yes, we will, inshallah. After we finish with the history and concepts and the terminologies and many other stuff, and then we are going to start with the 7 QC tools. They call it the quality control tools. Okay, we have also the Shingo. Okay, Shingo. And he came up with the Pokayoki mistake-proven design, a redesign of processes. So he came up with the idea of having no mistakes at all within the design process. So you can see that he's concentrating a lot on the design process. Pokayoki has its own methodology, because you're going to ask me, then how can I ensure not to have any mistake? That means he came up with the Pokayoki. Pokayoki means mistake proving. He came up with that methodology to ensure that. What is his methodology? It's very detailed. There are many steps, and there are many points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like a lot of steps that you need to do within any design or redesigning of a process to ensure that there is no mistakes. Will we study this methodology? No, we will not, because we're already going to cover like many things related to Deming and Juran and Crosby and Ishikawa. So, but we cannot cover everyone. Okay, so we cannot cover this guy here. There's another person called Yoki Akao. I think I'm becoming Japanese. I can hear my pronunciation. So we have Yoki Akao. QFD, Quality Function Deployment House of Quality, as tool for product design. Now, what is the story of Yoki Akao? He has something called quality something like quality office or quality center, whatever you call it, quality authority. That means he's coming up with the idea is that now we want to call something, some name to the quality, house of quality, quality function deployment, a name, a department. We have a specific department, a specialized department within quality. So he came up with this idea. Why? Because there's nothing called quality. There's engineering department, inspection department, but they did not have long time back something called quality department. So he came up with the idea, and then it became very popular. Why? Because as you know, quality, it needs some specialized people to look after all the processes within the organization. So that was Ishikawa. So now to review what we have taken. So the history of quality assurance, it was a concept in the 20th century, and it doesn't mean that it was not there before. It was there before, and the name was also there before. We have, for example, إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. That means to perfect the task that he is going to conduct. And when I say about أن يتقنه, this is a concept already presented by one of the guys. I forgot his name. He's a quality guy again. He's a quality guru. Well, I forgot his name. But what I'm trying to say that the concepts of quality was already there. But as you know, we are living in this new era in which we have everything old is thrown away, and we are trying to take with everything that is new, so that to prove that the new is the best and the old is the worst. So this is part of what we are living in this era, and I feel sorry for that. And for example, all the medications that we take today are depending and relying on all the current practices of Panadol, tablets, and they have went away from the الطب البديل, the normal way of the old way, that they used to use medications from the plants, from the food, and there's a lot of experience there, and there's a lot of knowledge. Ibn Sina, he didn't come from nowhere. Ibn Haytham, he didn't come from nowhere, right? So they had a lot of knowledge. What is always like that, if you want to prove that we are better now, you need to say there's something bad before. Okay, so that is, I feel sorry for that, but this is why now they say that quality is a concept in a 20th century phenomenon. Well, it had been a concept long time back. It's like, for example, I said that in a conference once, and I will say it again and again. And every time, like, they come and say, for example, التعليم بدأ في البحرين, education started in Bahrain 1918 in Al-Hidayah school, and everyone is really happy because they say, well, that now we already finished 100 years of education. Sometimes I feel sorry. Why? Because they tell us that our education is only 100 years old. But 100 years old is not the age of our education. It's much, much, much more than that. It had been, talking about the Islamic age, you're talking about the education is about 1400 years. Talking about before the Islamic age, there had also been other education parts. Before Islamic age doesn't mean that there was no Islam, but I'm not going to come to this concept. This concept, I will discuss it if anyone wants to discuss with me later. But what I'm trying to say that our education was simple. What are the first 3 universities? Even the 4th university, the first 4 universities. The first university in the world was in, I think so, in Morocco, Al Qayrawan, and the second one was in today, I think, Al Jazair. The third one was in Egypt. I think the second one was in Egypt, and the third one was in Al Jazair. And then the fourth one was in Baghdad. So the first three was in Africa, but it's in the Islamic region. And the fourth was also in Iraq. I can't remember which one's the fifth, which means that the first universities in the world, I'm talking about universities, not schools, which means definitely there are schools. However, with the different system of today's system. This, why I'm saying this, because this statement just triggered me. It triggered me. I get some statements from different articles, and I know it's just a statement. Quality is a concept in the 20th century, but for me, I look at things very philosophically. Sorry for that, I'm wasting some time here. But I just want to say that sometimes we say that there's nothing before that. I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I mean that there was something before. However, it came into to be as formalized into a scientific way, into scientific written manner, where in the 20th century. Okay, so and actually quality, it turned into to be part of a management system, and it is a management system. Quality is a management system. However, it was very popular in the industry. Now, talking about, again, we already took the history, but now you can see that things will be straightforward and look very easy for you. As we said that once quality started, it started before the 1900s as a concept. Let me say, as a concept with the name of quality. During the Middle Age in Europe, quality assurance was informal. And of course, it's not only in Europe, but before that, in the other part of the world, the Islamic world, it was also some kind of like informal. Informal, that means that there were no writings in the details. Actually, there are, and I had read, but it was not turned into a quality management system. There's nothing called like Nizam Idarat al-Jawda in such a kind of thing. So the responsibility of quality remained within the worker. So the worker does his job, he needs to have quality job. So it was mainly about the quality of the worker. So there's a worker here, there's another worker here, there's another worker here. And these workers, they maintain the quality of the job at their place. However, did we talk about the raw material and the whole supply chain till you have your final product here from the raw material sitting here? Talking about this whole quality system and so on was not as such earlier, and it just came into being later. And the reasons why, it was all because of that he wanted high production for more money, mainly. High production because you want to produce more army weapons, for example, to be more powerful, to have more money, and so this was like, and this is why it started within industries, industry of cars, industry of airplanes, industry of weapons, so it started with the industry thing, and this is why that we needed high production, and when we need high production, that means we need to maintain this line really correct with no errors. So and because we need that, statisticians came into being, and they wanted to make sure that there's no error in this process, and because of that, the quality management idea just came into being. Okay, so and just to get the idea of the craftsman, they came up with what? With standards. So when I come and produce a certain product, even if it was a coin or whatever, the shape of it, the thickness, the beauty, the beauty, the اللمعان, how bright it is, how sparkling, this is the correct word. So the coin that you want to produce also will have certain properties, and craftsmen, they like provide those standards. So the idea of standards came into being. And you can see here, and within after 1900 to 1920, which was like in coming to the World War I, and many factories are just pulling and pushing just to produce more and more. And this is why they made the new school system. They made the new school system because they needed more people specialized in a specific task. And that is why we have the new school system. It doesn't mean that it was better, that it means just it fit the system that we are living today. But it is not fitting something else, actually. And this is why in Australia and Finland, they are changing their education system. They are having something else. And I already suggested in Bahrain to have a different education system, but of course, it needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of courage. Okay, so quality control now by foreman. Around that, I already said around 1,750 factories began to replace private craftsmen as a central means of production. So instead of being only craftsmen, now it became a factory. Okay, so the stage needed what? As we said, it's needed necessity, that يعني ضروري, the need for inspection for the products. So before the craftsman has standard and he checks by himself, now لا خلاص, we have factories and we have many products, and this many products needs inspection. And the factories, of course, are overseen by men. Now you can bring this craftsman and foreman so that they can look at the quality of the product to control the quality. Now, because the inspection came into being, now statistics with inspection, it came to be a part of a very important topic and then new knowledge that is within every factory. يعني قبل we have only products. Now we have mass production. We brought the craftsmen, everyone inside this production, and then we have something called inspection. يعني ما في factory إلا عنده شنو, and no factory that will work except with inspection. They must have inspection. And later it became more popular. طبعا it was before. يعني Shewart كان قبل. Shewart was in the 1930s, but now the statistical approach was also multiplied. Why? Because it's not only now in US, it's also in Japan. And so Japan jumped into this period. This is the period where we had the World War II in 1941, I think so, to 1945. It was all wars all the way here. And this is where Japan, after the nuclear bomb, would take the decision that خلاص, no war, stop everything, start even from zero, and let's take all the latest knowledge from US. And this is what they did. They took all the latest knowledge from US and they started within that period. Just an information, the internet came into being in sometimes in the late 40s and 50s. So it was there in the 1940s till تقريبا 1990s. However, all the world, the whole world, started knowing internet by 1990s. This is just to keep us 50 years late from all the world. Okay, and this is the plan of how US started. Sorry, I'm not shifting my topic to be political. It's all about this is part of history. You don't need to see part of the history separated from all the rest, because you always ask yourself why industry started that period, why did school start at that period, why did quality inspection start at this period. It's all because of mass production, and then we want no errors because we cannot handle errors. So statistical approach came into being to have no errors. Okay, and you see, like Walter, he started with a statistical process control idea in the 1930s. So it was before that. And rather than looking at the end product, Walter broke down the production into many processes, each of which were to be evaluated. And a part of that is later, after 1950s, we have from 1960 to 1980, we have the quality assurance began to involve total quality control. And what do I mean by that? We already mentioned the history of quality assurance. It was about the final product. So if you can recall that, we had final product. So what do we need? We need only inspection. And after the final product, instead of looking at the final product, we need to look now at the processes within داخل the organization, inside the organization. So processes within the organization, that means we are talking about not only inspection, we are talking about also quality assurance. And then we said that it's not enough to have only quality assurance. Now we need to look at the processes also outside the organization and to look at the whole supply chain. And because of that, we came up with the idea of the quality control. And later at the end of all this, we said that now it is about everything. And because everything, we need quality management.
لا تحاكي ان شاء الله بتروح اليوم، انا المفروض انه يسوون لك اليوم، بس يعتمد على الزحمه اللي عندهم. احنا في صوب المهم بينا شيء ما هو من عندهم مثلا يعني فعالتكم زين باذن الله باذن الله تمام. خبرني ان شاء الله.
Okay, so sorry for this small interruptions. So what do you have here? We have the total quality management occurred, as we have just mentioned. And we are talking about from 1990 till today, still the TQM is everywhere. Like it is the main thing that people talk when they talk about quality. They always talk about TQM, and there are other models, excellence models, if you want to read, but mainly it's TQM. So the excellence model is very similar to TQM, except that it was a different model for new business. Sometimes people get fed up with the same name, so they need to come up with a different model, even if it has the same concepts. And instead of calling PDCA cycle in TQM, they call it radar. And so you can see that sometimes we play with terms. And it has a meaning behind it, but we also play with it.
يعني تحتاج ان تكون صايم يمكن باكر يخبرونك في تمام. اسمح لنا.
تفضل خذ راحتك سمك. So this is the hierarchy of the quality management, in which it starts with the inspection. And when we say inspection, what do we mean? We mean post-production review, reworking, rejection, control of workspace limited to physical products. This is what we mean by inspection. So again, the inspection, you look at the final product. And what do? The final product, you review it. Final product is not good, we rework it. Final product is really bad, we reject it. Okay. The final product is not correct. The workforce that are working, they're not doing the job right. They need to be trained. Final product is not good, maybe because we have limitation to the physical products, so the raw materials or something. And then we come to the quality control. Well, now this is another era. We already went through this, but this is another area to quality control, where we say that we will look at the final product. However, we want to look at the internal processes. Internal process, that means what? Not only the testing, we will see the supervisors. We'll put a criteria for the quality. We will have self-inspection. We have paper-based system to know the details of one step to another. يعني قبل مثلا, if they deliver something to your home, well, still if you call البرادة, the small shop near your home, you call them, which means that you order. Let me say you have an order, they deliver it, right? Delivery. But if you have order now from another bigger shop, for a furniture, so you have an order, and maybe before the order of something even bigger, you have a quotation, and after the quotation you have the order, and after the order you have the invoice, and after the invoice you have a delivery, and even with the delivery there's a delivery note. Why do they go through the whole details? It's all part of quality, because you're talking about something that is big, and sometimes if you're talking about now delivery, you want to make sure that when they develop the equipment, مثلا, at University of Bahrain, it has all the pieces with it. It doesn't have anything that is missed out. Okay, and so let's continue. Then the quality assurance, in which now you also look at within outside the process, and you know it's now more statistical tools. So you're talking about external accreditation, right? You now not only the inside processes, the outside processes, and you have a lot of statistics as well. And the TQM, you're going to involve everyone within the organization. So it's through teamwork, all workers, everything, products and processes, continuous improvement cycles, and we are going to involve suppliers and customers, not only the customers. Here, it's mainly the customer. However, now there we are going to have both customers and suppliers. I already mentioned all this, so I'm just repeating myself. It's good sometimes to repeat, because I'm in an introductory situation, so that's why I need to repeat things. Great. So what do we have now in the next minutes? We are going to have a case study on Thursday. We're going to have a case study on Thursday on the concepts of Edward, Deming, Juran, and Crosby, and you're going to do some kind of a comparison. A comparison on a case study. Case study يعني مثلا Gulf Air or a hospital. يعني you select the name of the hospital, and what we'll try to do here is that we are going to try to apply the principles of Deming to this case study. Every group is going to have a different case study. Okay. Juran is going to apply. We are going to apply the principles of Juran on the case study. We're going to apply the principles of Crosby on the case study. I'm going to explain the principles, because I did not explain the principles. I mentioned what did they do, and very quickly what kind of principles do they have, but I did not go into the details of it. So now we are going to go to the details of it and see. And when I say Deming has the principles, that it doesn't mean that it is the best principle, because there was TQM which came after Deming. Okay, so Deming was still 1980s, and so after 1980s, the idea of the total quality management TQM came into being to put all people, or the concepts of all the gurus into one place. So Deming, he came up with various ideas, and we are going to explain now the 14 principles in the next slide. Again, what did he concentrate on? The responsibility, stressed that the responsibility of quality remains within the top management. Wide مهم top management. And he says that if you have no commitment from top management, انسى, you're not going to have quality. Okay, so definitely you need the top management input or support. And he used to say, for example, there are three things important within an organization for good quality. It is top management, number one. Number two, top management. Number three, top management. So why he used to say this, like just to emphasize that how important it is. And he also emphasized on the prevention rather than cure, and how to stop it before it. It's preventing it from happening before. It's not only solving the problem, but also preventing it from happening. Okay, great. So now we're going to explain the principles in a moment. Hello. I'm just making sure that everything is okay. I'm going to open it in a moment. Okay, I think so. Things are good. So I'm back. حياكم السلام. Yes, bye. Okay. So these are the Deming's 14 points philosophy. So you can see that it is from 1 to 14. And we already covered a lot of those concepts. However, those concepts that we covered, I need to explain them again. And I'm going to explain them now in a moment. So just to have it zoomed in. So what do we have here? Number one, create constancy of purpose of improvement of product service with the aim to become competitive and to stay in business and to provide jobs. I would say this. Okay, I would call this the competitive edge. Competitive edge. يعني بالعربي احيانا يسمونها in Arabic القيمة التنافسية. Like you have many shops that sell cars, right? Sorry, shops. Many industries that sell cars. What makes a car better than the other? It's always that, for example, Lexus is better than BMW. لا ولا BMW is better than Lexus. Okay, how did you decide? Everyone looks at a different edge, and that which makes him or her more favorable to one than the other. Okay, a simpler example could be burgers, right? What makes a burger better than the other burger? You have many shops in Bahrain, yani. The burger shops became like something simple that you can find everywhere. That what makes one more competitive? What makes people come to your shop? And when we say about competitive edge, it doesn't mean that only your burger is good. It could be the product. It could be the speed of delivery of food. It could be the product. I mean the taste of the product. It could be the environment. Sometimes it's not about the coffee, but it's about the place. It's not about that. And for example, I like to go to Caribou Coffee, a Caribou Cafe, and talking about Caribou, for me, it's because the environment, the place that I go, I feel more comfortable when I work there. And it's not only because of Caribou Cafe, it's because also that cafe is not very far away from the masjid in Sif Mall in Muharraq, in Arad. So it makes me very comfortable. However, if you talk to me about the coffee itself, I know the coffee is good, but I cannot compare it. I don't mean not compare it, but for me, all coffees تقريبا are the same. When you hear this from me, if you go to a coffee lover, like he's not going to like my word. Why? Because he says لا حرام عليك. You're going to compare the Starbucks coffee with Caribou coffee. طبعا Starbucks, I'm already against Starbucks again because of the Zionist support. But if you're talking only about coffees, Starbucks taste I know it is different. And sometimes I felt that it has a very good taste some days when I went to it. But coffee is for me is not the edge. It is for someone else. And that's why I said a competitive edge. Competitive edge, it means I'm not only the customer, there are many other customers. If I don't like it, there are some other people who like the coffee, and the temperature of the coffee, the texture of the coffee, the smell of the coffee, and they love all the details in that coffee. And so what I'm trying to say, when you try to talk about competitive edge, you're trying to talk about many different customers, not only me, but you need to get all customers. How to get all customers? To have a good product, good speed of delivery, luxury place, good environment, good coffee, for example, and so on. So you need to have a competitive edge. So that is the first one that we're talking about here, is create a purpose for improvement of products and service with the aim. What is the aim? To become competitive and to stay in business. That's number one. So if you are going to apply this idea مثلا حق Gulf Air, what makes what is the constancy of purpose for improvement? What do they have in improvement which make them competitive? Do they have something like that? Yes, they have. So you need to look at it. In the hospital مثلا in what hospital? Salmania hospital. Salmania is more difficult example or easy, I'm not sure. But what do they have as a purpose for improvement? To become competitive. Are they competitive or not? يعني مثلا I'm just it's very difficult when I go to government organizations. Sometimes it becomes more difficult because you take about why should they become competitive? They are a government agency. Maybe you think about that. يعني this has many different ideas. Oh, good. So come up with the second point. Second point says that adopt the new philosophy. Organization can no longer compete if they continue in the old way of accepting delays, mistakes, and defects. So what I'm trying to say here is that they need to have some kind of a shift and adopt new ways. It's not only that يعني شوف يعني you have old, you have new ways. Maybe the new ways is exactly like the old way, but you name it differently. And because you just call it new, or you really have new ways, what happens? It just reflects back in your feelings that, we are going to do a new thing. And it helps a lot. So this is the idea. It's just a new philosophy. Huh? It's a new philosophy. It's a philosophical way of thinking that affects you psychologically. Number 3, cease dependence on mass inspection to achieve quality. Instead of inspection at the end, staff should be trained to monitor and develop their own quality. So what do we have here? Training. So what I'm trying to say, they should be trained to develop their own quality. So don't concentrate a lot. It's not concentrate. Cease يعني تحبس. You saying that quality is all about what? Is all about mass inspection. Why to talk about quality is all about mass inspection? Why shouldn't we say that it could be mass inspection, but it is also training? We need also to concentrate on training. And why do we concentrate on training? Because it's important to consider everyone in the organization. Okay, so training is important. Why? Because they are the ones who are going to monitor and develop, okay, their own quality, of course, and they are the ones who are going to do the inspection, right? So definitely we need them there on board. So definitely, if you are going to if you're going to have again a burger shop, you need people, the ones who are going to do the burger, to be trained. You need the person who's going to deliver the burger, he needs to be trained. The person who's going to take the order, he needs to be trained. And why? Because maybe he doesn't smile, he doesn't have this interaction with the customer. And sometimes there are reactions and interactions, they build relationships, and he just can get the customer coming to you on a daily basis just because of this good relationship. Okay, so we should consider this. Sorry. Okay, so that is 3. Number 4, practice of awarding business on the basis of a price tag alone. What should we do? And the practice. So it's not, business is not about price tag. And you know, رخيص ولا غالي? Okay, is it cheap or expensive? What is the price? If you're talking about cheap or expensive, that is the base of your quality, you're not going to do good. Why? Because every time that you don't have business, let's make a 20% discount. That is the solution. If this is only the solution, that means you have a problem. I'm not selling burgers. What should I do? I make a 30% discount. I just went to a burger 2 days ago and a few days ago, and they told me that they have a 30% discount. يعني طبعا it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It works, but it's not the practice only. There are other practices. Maybe there's a problem with training. Maybe we need to do something new marketing strategy, which is the new philosophy. Okay, new philosophy. Maybe we need to have something more competitive to be in business. So having something more competitive, and according to one of the gurus, he said that if you have one thing addition as a product every year, best شيء واحد, only one thing different as a product every year, only one thing, you will always be competitive. Okay, so so if you are competitive and you adopt new philosophy in the marketing مثلا, or and you train your staff members, and you use this marketing and promotion tool. يعني, you also use promotion, but it is not your only practice. So if you have all this, you're going to have a good business. You're going to have quality in your business. Number 5, improve constantly. خلينا نشوف ساعة كم. Okay, I have only 5 minutes left. I have 5 minutes left. So improve constantly and forever the system of production and service to improve quality and productivity, and thus to constantly decrease cost. Matter, what do we see here? We are going to look at the system of production, the design of the production and service. Why? To improve quality and productivity. Why we are doing all this? To decrease the costs. So the whole idea is what? Is decrease costs. Okay, I'm telling you what is the main word in that. So yes, we are trying to improve constantly. We are trying to improve constantly, but why we are trying to decrease cost? We are improving our service, but we are making sure that we are improving our service not only for the sake of the quality service, but also with the less cost. So the idea of always having less cost, يعني it's really good. It counts. And why we are doing this? So that we can make more money. We can make more money, and my business becomes better. Okay, number 6. I don't know, 5. I think 5 is clear. I don't have an exact example. Maybe it comes after a while. Number 6, institute training on the job. Failure to use the available talent in the organization is the greatest waste. Training is a powerful tool to improve quality. Now, what is the difference between number 6 and number 3? Number 3 says that do not only concentrate on the final product, but consider training as well. Okay, so that they can work on their own quality, so that they can do the mass inspection really correctly. However, here we are talking about the training generally, but not only training generally, we are talking about on-job training. يعني يدا بيد أنت تروح معه وتتعلمه. You're with him or with her, moving with them to do the on-job training. Okay, so what we are trying to do, we are trying to do the on-job training together. So you go with him and you show him مثلا, if you're going to on-job training for a new cleaner to clean your home, for example. So what do? You do on-job training. You don't only ask them to clean, and you can see your mothers, for example, if they have a new housemaid. What do? They tell them how to clean the toilet, for example, or the kitchen. What sanitizers, what equipment do they use? What tools do they use? They tell them everything in details. So what are they doing? They're doing on-job training. Because if you don't do on-job training, they may do something different from your expectation. To make sure that they do something according to your expectations, you need to do the on-job training. Till here, we are going to stop. We already have taken 6. and we are going to continue inshallah from 7 to 14, and then next يعني on Thursday we are going to take Juran's principles. There are 10, and inshallah on Thursday as well we are going to take the 14 principles of Crosby. يعني you're going to see that it will repeat itself but in a different way, and then we are going to give you the case study inshallah. Any questions please? Any questions?
Yes, please.
أي سؤال يا جماعة؟
Yes, please. Do you hear me?
قولوا. صدق ما عندكم أسئلة؟
Guys, do you hear me?
أوكي الحين أسمعك. تفضل أحمد.
Thank you. Doctor, regarding the case study, will you give us the case study or do we have to search for it?
I will give you the case study.
All right, thank you.
I will give you I will give you كم الجروب أنتوا يمكن أنا نسيت كم الجروب لحين الجروبات ما اكتملت، يعني على افتراض أنتوا الحين 5 groups or 6 groups ما أعرف كم. فأنا شنو so if you are 6 groups I'm going to give you 6 different case studies. And every group is going to select one of the case studies. And the group who's going to decide before, خلاص, they will select the case study and no one can take their case study. Everyone is going to take a different one. Okay, so يعني من سبق لبق. Okay, the first one gets it, he gets it.
ما في مجال للتراجع يعني.
لا مو ما في مجال التراجع، في مجال التراجع. أنا قصدي غيرك خلاص ما. So you selected to do this case study of Deming, Juran, and هذه على for example I selected Ibn Nafis Hospital, and you're going to apply it on Ibn Nafis Hospital. Or I said hospitals generally, you're going to select what hospital. Now another group comes and said that we will also want to work on the hospitals. I will say لا خلاص. يعني already a group selected hospitals, so you need to select airlines, for example, or select hotels, or select any shopping mall, and so on. So they're going to select something else, or select Kentucky, or so many case studies. We are full of case studies, so you can apply to any sector: food sector, health sector, transportation sector, the tourism sector, all that. There are many sectors. Okay. يعطيكم العافية. We'll see you إن شاء الله. بارك الله فيكم. And hope for the best إن شاء الله. يلا نشوفكم على خير يا جماعة. مع السلامة.
Thank you.